Hello there guys, welcome back to my channel for the biggest preview I might ever do on this channel, because Chelsea are about to play the Champions League final tomorrow night, and I've been bricking it for, well, to be honest, since about 5 minutes after the final whistle against Real Madrid. But realistically, especially the last couple of days, it's been a bit crazy. You know, I've said this yesterday already. I've kind of been struggling to even follow the build-up, because I'm like, the more build-up I watch, the more excited I'll be. And then if we lose, the more hurt I'll be. So I'm just trying not to see anything. Yeah, it's fun, but it's also not fun. It's crazy. It's crazy. And yesterday, you know, I tried to provide some distraction. We spoke a lot about Lukaku and stuff. I'll get Jay's and Dan's thoughts on that whole debate on as well. But that was kind of a distraction from the whole thing. There's no distractions anymore now. You know, we're like 24, 26, 27, whatever, hours away from kickoff. And like I said, I'm just breaking it. I am joined by two very, very special guests. I know Jay told me last time it's not a special guest anymore because he's been on a few times. It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. It's still a special guest. And the same, of course, goes for Mr. Dan McCarthy at Sport. The links to both of them is down in the description, the Chelsea social website, as well as their YouTube channel. Check them all out. But boys, let me start with you, Dan. First of all, appreciate you coming on. I know it's very early in LA. People appreciate him. It's 7:40 for him right now. He literally just got up. How are you feeling ahead of tomorrow, man?
I said, yeah, man, I'm good. I mean, I've been saying to a few people who have asked me, I'm just the kind of person who doesn't get nervous until it's there. I've been like that of whenever I played back in my playing days. I never got nervous until kickoff. As a fan, I've never got nervous until kickoff. It's just me. So, yeah, I'm pretty calm. I'm cool about it. I don't maybe just kind of working in the game and playing in the game. I don't want to overthink it. I don't want to overanalyze it. I've just kind of got my thoughts on what I think is going to happen. And, yeah, man, I feel good. I'm excited. I'm just excited for this young group to be able to play such a big game. It's so young in their careers, right? And whatever happens. It's a bonus, right? It's a final. Anything can happen. So, yeah, man, I'm excited, of course. I'm going to miss the game, but, you know.
You're going to miss the game?
Yeah, so funny story. I'm actually in a tournament this weekend coaching, and the tournament is sponsored and run by Manchester City. It's called Manchester City Cup. It's one of the biggest tournaments in America. And, yeah, so I'm going to be at a tournament sponsored by Man City Cup with Man City logos. The Premier League, they always bring the Premier League trophy over when they win it, and the other trophies they win. So, yeah, I'm going to be actually coaching the game at the same time. But I've already, you know, preempted that. I've already made it clear that I will have an iPad on the bench when I'm coaching. So we're all good.
Very good, very good. But I actually thought it's an interesting statement. So even when you were playing, you didn't get nervous until kickoff. Shouldn't that be when you stop being nervous?
No, yeah, it's crazy. Well, I wouldn't say at kickoff. I would say leading up to kickoff, right? So like in the dressing room, maybe 20 minutes before. That's when I would get nervous. And as you rightly say, when kickoff happens and you go play, right? But I would say the 20, 30 minutes leading up to the game is when I would get maybe a little bit nervous. But before that, never. And I would probably, what I would do is I usually read a book, which is kind of strange, but I would read a book just to calm me down. I remember I played a final back when I was playing over here, and I actually read Drogba's book. I don't know if you guys have read that. It's a really good book. I read Drogba's book just before the game, and it helped. So, yeah.
Well, fair dues. Hey, reading. Why not? See, there you go. Tips from Dan McCarthy. Jay.
Yeah, I'll back the reading because I obviously do an MA in literature. I'll back the reading. But in terms of nerves, like I can, in sort of relation to what Dan said, like my sort of sport was. So I was on GB under-18s for judo. So I got my black belt when I was 12, and I used to sort of compete UK, Europe, and I never got nervous. And then sort of walking up to the mat or the ring to do whatever, you'd get butterflies. But I think even then it was more like, I'm here for a reason. I trust the fact that I'm here, and you just go from there, and you've got to believe in yourself. And I think that's exactly what the players do. In terms of my nerves to the game, like I'm not nervous at all. Like if I've always said this, if we as Chelsea fans are going to have the attitude, we can sign who we want, we can draw like any player's fine because we're Chelsea, then we've got to have the attitude going into big games that we're going to win the game. And no heads down, no lack of confidence. If I've always felt, and people have always got on my back of this, that there's a sort of slight arrogance amongst Chelsea fans because, we're Chelsea, we can sign anyone, we're the best. But actually, okay, well, back it in the big games. Don't be nervous, be excited, be prepared, be ready for it as fans and as players. And and make sure that no matter what the score is, you come off the pitch having left everything out there. I don't want any player coming off that could have given more. Then I don't mind as much, if you know what I mean. I'd love to win. I'd love to win the game, but it'd be awful to lose and certain players come off having not given everything for that game. And that's my only concern, really.
And no, that's exactly it, because that's where my nerves come from. Because like I didn't go quite as far in judo as you. I only went to green belt and stuff when I was like 9 or 10. So, not quite competing all over Europe, but that. And then I did swimming for a while. But for those competitions, I wasn't nervous because that was kind of me. But it's not me that play tomorrow, right? And especially like we lost 3 of the last 4 games and always with stupid mistakes and not taking chances. And that's kind of what kills me, because I want to win so badly, obviously. And I also at the same time, I want to not lose so badly. But we can't control it. And that's where, for me, kind of the nerves really stem from. It's interesting that you point out that way. Didn't expect this conversation to go down that way, but I'm happy about it. Brilliant. But like obviously to just preempt a few things, it seems like both squads are at full fitness. Well, full fitness is maybe the wrong word, but everybody should be available, which is good. Gundogan is expected to be back fit for Man City. He is their only minor doubt, and obviously for us it's Edouard Mendy, N'Golo Kante, and I suppose even Kai Havertz. But all of those are expected and should be available and fit to play. So Tuchel has the full squad to choose from, which I suppose doesn't make things easier, because the more people you have to choose from, the more selection headaches you have. But it's just such a big game, and I know we spoke about nerves, but also the fact that we played City twice in the last 2 months and we beat them twice, and I go over it in my head over and over again. I'm like, well, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Would it have been better if we won 1, lost 1, so it would be even now? Do you know what I mean? Like, I just I just overthink it. Too much time on my hands, clearly. It's just I don't know how to deal with it. And I would have gone down the nerves route, but if you don't feel nerves, then we're gonna go down more of a tactical route. Do you know what I mean? Because there is still a lot of different ways. Like I've spoken to a lot of people already, and a lot of people have different mindsets. Go all out. Sit back, just park at the bus, do like we did in 2012, and just find a way. Whether it's Christensen right centre back, Aspi right centre back, Reece James right centre back. There's so many ways people have talked about Jorginho, Kovacic, Kante, who plays front 3. There's so much that's up for Tuchel, because obviously we have a few players that we know are definitely set to start: Mendy, Rudiger, Thiago Silva, Kante, Ben Chilwell. I suppose Aspi will start. The question is just where, and Mason Mount. But all the others, they've kind of all been too inconsistent to know for sure whether he will start them. I mean, we have probably all a pretty good idea of what he's done in other big games and stuff, but it's tough. Let me go with you first, Jay. I'll get up a little screen so we can discuss our lineups or whatever. Actually, what we think Tuchel will go with, because yesterday we already did what we think we'll go with. How do you think we'll approach the game, and how would you approach the game? Because, like I said, people just don't seem to know, but I don't know if that's because they're nervous, and maybe because you two are not as nervous. Maybe you're better people to ask.
Yeah, I'd approach the game exactly how we've played them the last 2 times. I take notes from the games against Real Madrid as well. I wouldn't necessarily say sit deep, but be defensively resolute and trust in the players to play the correct out ball in behind the fullbacks that will push up from Man City, and see if we can get something on the break. That's how I'd play it. It seems to be one of the only ways you can get a City is exposing the space in behind. I'm sure Dan can touch on that more than I can, but that to me seems to be the best way to get at them. Laurenz, I know you and I all season have joked about Timo Werner, but he's going to be an important player to get in behind if he can. So he's someone that I would be starting. But I understand. I spoke about this the other day about Timo. I'm willing to criticize players that have arguably had better seasons than him, and not willing to criticize him so much, which is part of the fallacy of being a football fan, I guess. But yeah, confidence, steady on the ball. I'm happy if the boys want to play it around a bit. You don't have to be quite like Villarreal. You don't have to sit regimented that deep, because I believe City have the talent to pick apart low blocks. Pretty much no worries. But yeah, man, that's all it is. Just confidence on the ball, little respect, trust in the plan, and making sure that when we break, when we counter, we've got everyone in the right positions and people making the correct balls, and hopefully The only thing that does make me nervous is obviously the lack of finishing this season, because we will get chances, but 2 or 3, and we have to take at least one of those. Because I really do believe if City get one chance, they'll take it, because they're the best team in the world, in my opinion. So yeah, pretty standard. But I want to see confidence in the performance and a belief that the guys believe they should be on that stage at that time, and I'm happy. Good to go from there.
That like you said, it's about making sure we're defensively solid, but also not too much that we only get 1 or 2 chances, because with our lack of clinicalness, I suppose, that's probably not the position we want to be in. I know you said we will have chances, but if it's only 1 or 2 and we don't take them, that's also a problem. Like it's a tough way to look at it. I mean, a last question before I go to Dan: are you superstitious at all, Jay?
Not really. No, I think you make your own luck. Like, we beat City last 2 times because we're better than them. That's just the way football works generally. Not always the case. And they had their chances. And I don't think there's any sort of... I don't really have any sort of superstitions, really. Maybe, definitely not with football or anything like that. It's just... I'm a bit of a yadar when it comes to football sometimes. I really do think that it's... as I've been called a lot on Twitter recently. I really do think it's confidence, being up for it, making sure you win the second balls, making sure you're tough in the challenges, making sure that everything's ticking along, you're sticking to plan, you're working together, and you've got confidence. Then that's much more than any sort of superstition. If I feel like superstition's always convenient, and people will say them after they've won, but will never say them when they've lost, which is obviously people are going to do. So yeah, I find superstitions a bit of a... not really for me. I really do believe in confidence, ability, mentality, and technique.
I would agree with that. I do. The only way I look at superstitions, and not necessarily for myself personally, but for things like, Dubois' thread, and then that got kind of...
it's easy. It's easy. They're indulgent superstitions, and they're quite simple. It's, I hear it because I've seen people say, "Oh, we beaten the last 2 times. Maybe we should have lost 1 and won once, then this one would have been even." But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's the stuff that Dubois on about. There's probably a lot of things that repeat themselves over the years. It's just he's just managed to pick them apart, and yeah, nice coincidences, and hopefully it parallels nicely in terms of a final result. But yeah, that's still... I've been chatting to him. I don't think it's superstition. I just think it's a lucky coincidence that he's found to benefit from on social media.
Oh, 100%. Obviously, thank God, I hope the players are not too superstitious, because, we lost the FA Cup final this time, unlike last time. So, I think what superstition can do is give you a confidence to help over nerves. That's what superstition can do, if in the past it's proven to work for you, certain superstitions that you have. But at the end of the day, you got to do it. But you got to feel confident in yourself to do it. And if superstitions help you that way, then hey, fair dues. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get to Dan in just a second, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. Whether you're watching this now as we're live, or later on once this has turned into a video, make sure you smash the like button. If you have any questions for us, for Dan, for Jay, or myself, obviously, do use the super chat function if you fancy that. And just quickly, I am, of course, still sponsored by OneFootball this month. So do download the app and just listen to what I have to tell you in the next clip. I want to say a massive thank you to OneFootball for partnering up with me and sponsoring my channel. Like the name suggests, it's a football app. And trust me, it's one of the best ones out there. You get all the latest football news from pretty much every single team and league all around the world. Team news, live score updates, league tables, fixture lists, everything you could possibly want to know in the world of football, you find it right there. Never want to miss out on any news surrounding Chelsea again? OneFootball has got you covered. As you can see on screen now, all the news is all there in one place. Whether it's the latest injury news, articles before and after games, or of course, transfer rumours. And with the transfer window actually opening and coming up soon, as well, you'll definitely want to make use of that transfer indicator, which not only tells you about all the rumours out there, it also tells you how likely a certain transfer actually is to happen. Like I said, it's honestly a brilliant app that I can only recommend downloading with the link down in the description below. And downloading the app with my link also really helps out my channel. All it takes is literally a few seconds to click that link down in the description below. Doesn't matter whether you're on iPhone or Android, I download the app right there with that link. So again, go down below into the description and download the OneFootball app with my link right now. And now to take it over to you, Dan. like I just asked Jay, how do you think we should, but also how do you think we will approach the game? Because, it's easy to say, play like we did in the last 2 games against Man City. What if Man City have learned from that to stop exactly that? I'm sure that's something that Thomas Tuchel will have spent a lot of time thinking about. Obviously, people last night already losing their minds over that BT Sports interview but with Pep Guardiola and saying, he moves his hand so much, he's already got me scared. I'm like, all right. You never go to Italy if you're scared when people moving their hands. But, how do you think we should approach it in terms of, should we focus on defense more? Should we focus at keeping the ball? Should we focus at being super aggressive in the press? How do you think we should approach the game?
Just quickly on Guardiola. Imagine wanting Guardiola to come out in a press conference and say, I'm not sure if we can beat Chelsea. The guy's won everything there is to win. The guy's got the best team in the world at his disposal. What do you want him to say and do? Of course he's going to go in that press conference and say, we're going to win. Thomas Tuchel said it. Someone asked him, are you going to win a championship? He said, yeah, of course. Like, that's elite mentality. It's sports. It's elite. It's the highest level of sport, right? You got to have that. So people reading so much into Guardiola, what he's saying, what he's doing, stop. I can hear feedback, by the way. I'm not sure why. But
I can't.
Okay, I can't hear it now. It's gone. So, with that said, how we should approach the game, I think we can't be one or the other, right? We're not going to match them for possession. We're not. But if we sit back like sacrificial lambs, we're also going to struggle as well. I think we've got to be a bit of both. There's going to be moments, right, where we're going to have to drop deep, use our shape, which is the 3 at the back and the 5 at the back, use our shape accordingly to frustrate them, close the gaps and not allow them to break lines and play in between our lines. There's going to be times where we need to be expansive, right, and use our back 3 and 5 to play wide, get out of the back efficiently if that is Jorginho playing, and then go at them very, very quickly in the final third, which we did to a great effect against Real Madrid, right? So if you're asking me which way to lean, I'd lean more to the latter of playing more of a counter-attacking system, Laurenz. I think that suits us better against this side. We can't match it for possession. We can't. We just can't. So we have to do that. But I will stress that we can't do completely one or the other. And Tuchel won't do that either. I'm very confident he won't do that. He will know when's a good time, when's not a bad time. This kind of week, as a coach, I'll know, not at this level, of course, but it'll be a lot of film, a lot of tactical prep, and it will be situational based, right? It will be, okay, this is what we're going to do in this moment when the ball is in this area. There's going to be a lot of that going on this week. I can tell you that for a fact. So you'll see, Chelsea might play in different ways in certain moments in order to counteract what City are doing, but also to have the best chance of us going ahead. So yeah, I'd like to see us play. To give an example to make it more relative. Remember when we played Liverpool away at Anfield? I think something similar like that, or even Real Madrid to be more of a recent example. And I'd like to see Kai and Timo Werner start personally.
I would agree. But one question I have for you, because City played a 4 at the back first time they played us, played a 3 at the back second time they played us. We seem to struggle with that a little bit, especially for the first 15, 20, 25 minutes in that second game. But then we somehow seem to adapt to it. And second half, we were a better team. First of all, do you think they'll go 3 again? And if they do you think Kyle Walker plays right centre-back to counter Werner?
They will. Pep Guardiola will be fully aware that our game plan will rely heavily on Timo Werner. So yeah, if he's setting up a system, if his system is to go against ours or match ours, he will do something about Timo Werner, absolutely, because he'll know that Thomas Tuchel will be using Timo's pace. So yeah, if that's Kyle Walker, probably. In terms of will he play a back 3 or 4, you just don't know, right? Because he can be bluffing at this point. He's saying that they're going to win no matter what, and that they're the best team, right? So if that's the case, then he would play what his system is, which will be a back 4, right? If he's that confident. However, this could be a ploy, right? It could be a decoy, and he'll match us. So if I was a betting man, I think he'll go back 4. Because I think he runs a risk, right? If he matches us, and Tuchel could beat him in that system, because Tuchel's more rehearsed in it. So I think he'll go back 4. But I wouldn't be overly surprised with either. And trust me, it's going to change so many times in the game. It's going to be a cagey tactical final. Unless City score in the first 10 minutes, then I think they'll batter us. But I think it's going to be cagey. And I think you're going to see system changes every 5-10 minutes. I really do. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun. I can't wait.
I agree with that, actually. I saw an interview earlier by Rob Green. And he's like, well, if it's a high-scoring game, Chelsea stand no chance. But if it's a low-scoring game, he thinks there is a good chance. And I don't usually pay a lot of attention to what Rob Green has to say, but in this case, I actually agree. So that's that. But I do still think, and I don't want to hype up Kyle Walker too much, but I do still think that it makes quite a bit difference that he didn't play the last 2 times we played them, and we beat them and exploited them so much by having Werner's pace. Because if there's one defensive player in the Premier League that probably can match Werner for pace, it's probably Walker. Plus, Walker has the strength to not only keep up pace-wise with Werner, but also then outmuscle him while running, which I think could be the only detriment to Werner being as effective tomorrow as he was in the last 2 games. So I think a lot of it will depend on, like you said, obviously formations will switch and change. I think if they play a 3, Werner will be further out wide. While if they play a 4, Werner will be very central. I think because he will want to avoid or even move over to the right, maybe. Because I don't think Tuchel will want to have him directly against Walker all game long. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong here, but that's just me. To get this up now, let me just do this share screen here because, obviously we spoke a lot about how we try to exploit it from our end. But I think a lot of that obviously has to do with the personnel because certain players change certain things, if that makes sense. I've already wrote down the players that I think we're all very confident will start the game. I put Mount as that right inside forward now. Obviously, he might be in a different position. We'll see. But let me go with you first, Jay. Who do you think, well, I suppose you can share your opinions as well, but who do you think will be that right centre-back? Obviously, Reece James has played in that position for the last few games now. Has done a good job, aside from maybe the pass from the back against Leicester, which, handball, you can debate, but the pass was arguably too risky in the first place. But he's done a very good job whenever he's played there, particularly defensively. Christensen is obviously back from injury. He, played that position against Real Madrid in, one of our best performances when we could have won like 6-0. And then obviously you still have Aspie, who has by far the most experience in that position out of the 3. So who do you think ends up playing?
I personally would start with Aspie there and then Reece out as the wing back. I think that's the smartest way to go if City play with a 4-back system anyway, because I still believe Aspie is one of the best one-on-one defenders in European football. So it would be smart, I believe, to have him match against someone like Foden because, Foden's been outstanding this season, but sometimes young, exciting players get caught up against experienced professionals, and Aspie embodies that experienced professional. So for me, that's what I'd do. I'd have him right centre back and then have Reece out on the right because his out ball, his long passing, his ability to cover the midfield, to act as a sweeper if needed as well, and a bit more pace. Personally, I think that makes sense. More so.
I think that's fair enough. And before I go to Dan, because I'll explain why I would agree, and then we can see if Dan agrees for at least those reasons, even though we already, saw him, agreeing with the idea in general. For me, I don't think Aspie has much on James defensively, maybe in terms of nerves for experience on the stage like this. But I think Reece has done extremely well in one-on-one situations defensively when he's played in that position the last few games, whether it was important blocks, whether it was stopping people going past him. At the edge of the box, inside the box, done impressively well, in my opinion. Obviously, can he replicate that again is a bit of a question. That's, what you get with young players, really. But I think the big difference for me is as much as Reece James has done really well as right centre-back himself, and as much as Aspie has done well in terms of bombing up and down that wing when he played right wing back and arguably being more of an offensive threat and asset than Reece James usually is when he plays in that role. I think the big difference having Reece as right wing back is our ball retention, because I think Aspie at right wing back is not detrimental, that's the wrong word, but Reece is just much more useful for both of the DMs to play the ball wide when they're under pressure and can't have the backwards or forwards pass easy, because Reece just doesn't lose the ball. It just doesn't happen. He's too strong, too good on the ball, too good technically and first touch-wise to lose the ball. He'll keep it. While with Aspie, he might try a first-time pass at right wing back, might mess it up, and then we have this transition period where we're just not in shape, and that's when they can hurt us. And I think that's where Reece James against a team like Man City is super important, to be in that kind of ball possession area rather than being in the further back with a little bit of extra pace. That's what I would position it like that. But Dan, first of all, you clearly agree that's how it should be and probably will be. But what are your reasons for it, and what do you think about my reasons, I suppose? Dan, you're muted.
There we go. There we go. So yeah, no, both good reasons, right? And that's what football is. It's opinions and it's not black and white. Personally, yeah, I would go with Aspi there for the similar reasons that Jay said, really. Just 1v1 defending, I still rate him in that department, right? I think it's good to have Azpilicueta behind Reece James to communicate and help him with his positioning, which, of course, he's still learning as a young guy. I think Reece James is clearly more dangerous going forward, of course, as well. And he can match up better with maybe City's wide player better. I feel like Azpilicueta defends better within if you cut the field into kind of columns, I guess, within that third middle column. He defends better in that area, right? So, and Reece James is prone to maybe getting caught in behind a lot sometimes because he's ball watching or because he's young, experience. So I feel like Azpilicueta provides more solidarity back there. So probably more predominantly speaking from a defensive standpoint, Laurenz is my reason for it, but also attacking wise that James can offer more going forward. And I would just get as much experience at the back as possible. And I know it's very similar and there's not much in it, but it's enough, especially against a team like City, especially of a game of the magnitude of the Champions League final. So that's why I would do it personally. But I don't think either one of them is wrong. It's definitely going to depend on as well who Tuchel does believe plays for City, wide defence and wide midfield forward as well.
So you're saying that in the sense of what if Pep starts Sterling and then he might want to switch in-game to put Reece back for a bit of extra pace for possible over-the-top balls?
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that could happen. I definitely could see Azpilicueta and Reece if it's them two starting, right? I definitely could see them switching in the game. I think I can 100% see that, unless Tuchel's extremely stubborn. But I don't see Tuchel being that kind of manager. I feel like he's very tactically fluent, right, and fluid. So, yeah, I could definitely see that happening. That he would adapt to City's game plan. He will adapt accordingly, and if that means them two have to switch, then absolutely. I remember Sterling and Azpilicueta going at it the last game, right, or the game before. I can't remember if it was the first or second game, but them two were going at it pretty hard. So that was fun.
It was. That's true. That's true. I think we can all agree that Ben Chilwell should and will start at left wing back. I mean, I don't think any of us really want to see Alonso in this game against the pace of and the fluidity and the trickery of Man City. At least I don't. Maybe I'm harsh, but I certainly do not. I think we can all agree on Kante as well. Most people I've spoken to so far have agreed on who plays next to Kante as well. But I see a lot of people on Twitter and here in the chat as well. By the way, guys, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe and use the super chat function if you want to make sure to include your message because there's too many various messages. How can I pick which one I highlight? Any which way. Let me go with you first, Jay. Who do you think should and again will start next to N'Golo Kante tomorrow?
Yeah, get them super chats in. Come on now. They're beast and they come through. Mate, to be honest, I don't like either of Jorginho or Kovacic, so I typically am overly biased against the two, but which makes me want to say Billy Gilmore, but I tend to say it as a joke to wind up Jorginho fans, and they come for me very quickly, so I'm not going to do that today. I'd play Jorginho personally. I don't like the Kovacic-Kante pivot at all. Kova and Kante, they do too much going forward. I don't trust Kova defensively. He can't defend and he can't shoot either. So at least with Jorginho, his role is defined. He'll sit deeper, free up Kante to sort of go chase. Jorginho is a good out ball to, from the centre backs, and he's able to usually turn and then distribute it, whilst I think he passes sideways too much and he's not as expansive as I believe his ability would allow him to be. He's the guy I would go for, and defensively he's more sound than Kovacic because I see people already I don't really understand Kovacic's role in a pivot in a three-man midfield. I could definitely see the value he adds more so as a press breaker and a recycler, but I don't think that makes you world class. And if that's all you have to offer, then sorry, that doesn't get you a starting place in the Champions League final for me personally. But I can understand why people would want him there. But I think Jorginho and Kante is a bit more defensively sound. And in fairness to Jorginho, whilst I don't rate the guy too much, purely aesthetically not my type of footballer, he's been excellent in the Champions League overall. So, yeah, it's probably fair that he starts as well.
Fair enough. Dan, do you agree on the sentiments about Mateo Kovacic? And who would you pick next to Kante? I mean, maybe you would pick Jorginho and Kovacic and not start Kante, but I doubt that.
No way.
So what's the matter, Joe?
If Kante doesn't start, I'm going to be pissed, bro.
No, of course he's starting.
Yeah,
Come on now. Come on now. But what I will say is, mate, Kovacic is press resistant. You know what I mean? He's got to play now.
Except the last 2 games, yeah.
I'm winding you up. No, Georgie, I said on the byline with Alex the other day. I said it on a couple of other streams this week. Jorginho starts for me for the pure fact of experience. I know Kovacic is also experienced, but maybe Jorginho more so. And also for his importance of playing out the back. City are going to press us. If you think they're sitting back, you're crazy. They're going to press us. And Jorginho helps us finding the gaps in between their press. Accordingly, he's very good with his back to their goal, with his facing his own goal, which, by the way, is incredibly underrated. People still don't give him enough credit. That is so hard to do, is play facing your own goal under that pressure. So I like him for that. I also like him for the fact that he is good at organising, which is another thing I think is underrated about him. You find him organising our team a lot and making sure that when and if we lose the ball, we're already in the right spot. So I like that about Jorginho as well. So again, I don't love him. I don't think he's the future for Chelsea. I don't see him being long term. And I'd love someone else, to be honest. But I'm going to choose to be positive and choose to, we can't change that, right? He is a Chelsea player. We've only got limited options, and I would choose him for those reasons. But I think he's going to be important in this game. And if we get a penalty, trust him to take it as well and score it. So yeah, slim pickings, boys.
Say that again.
Slim pickings.
It is slim pickings. It is.
For me, it's just, if Kovacic was fit the last 2 months and was playing had equally amount of game time as Jorginho and Kante, I suppose, you could make a case for it maybe. But I think Kovacic, having been out for a while, and then when he's come back the last 2 games, looked very rusty, and slow is the wrong word, but just rusty and slow in his head more than with his feet. Like, he was just dispossessed in too many dangerous areas in the last 2 games, and we cannot afford to be caught out in positions like that tomorrow, like at all. And I know it's harsh, and of course, you could say tomorrow he won't do that, but we don't know that. And the last 2 games, if we go by those, and that's, the only games he's played in the last 2 months, pretty much, or 1.5 months, I don't really want that. Plus, Jorginho and Kante have played our most important games together this season. And if that didn't work out, we wouldn't be where we are. So, that partnership has literally proved itself against, I suppose, the best teams aside from Man City and maybe Bayern Munich, right? So if you look at it that way, I think Jorginho and Kante starting there together probably makes the most sense. But at least we're in a position now where we have Kovacic on the bench and can bring him on if that is an option that Tuchel finds to be useful, rather than only having these 2. And, if that doesn't work, we're just screwed because we don't have anybody else. Which is obviously a positive thing to have as well, especially we have 5 subs. Who knows, might go to extra time. So, there is a good chance we will need to use one of that midfield, substitutions, I suppose. To get to the front 3, the problem part of our team, let's be honest, because all the others have had overall a good season. Most of them a very good season. And then we get to the front 3. Of course, Mount has been great, player of the year, fully deserved. But essentially, those front 3 have still cost us a lot of nerves this season. Whether it's cost us making depending on Tottenham to finish in the top 4, whether it's losing the FA Cup final, whether it's making the Real Madrid game as tense as it was, it's realistically always been down to the front 3, and they're finishing. As great as they've been in other areas of the game, their finishing has sadly been, for the most part, quite dreadful. I know Dan obviously stated it already who he wants to have with Kai Havertz and Timo Werner, presumably next to Mason Mount, but maybe not. So I'll go to you in just a second. But Jay, what about you? Again, I presume Mount is a set to start, but who would it be for you? I mean, I know you don't even have to say. We know you want to start Werner, right? But who's the other one?
I'd probably start Cho and Tammy.
Oh, there you go. Fair play.
I'm only messing. I'd start Kai and Timo as well. For sure, that to me seems obvious. The obvious choices. I've heard a lot of people on the podcast. I recorded it today. It hasn't come out yet. Actually, it has come out. It came out earlier with Daniel Charles. He disagreed with me. He wanted a Mount Werner Ziyech front 3, but for obvious and understandable reasons. But I think it's got to be those 3. To be honest, Havertz can occupy Diaz. He's tricky. He's actually been throwing his physicality around and showing a lot of match intelligence. And I'm very excited about Havertz. Werner's a lot to handle. And actually, what I think is an underrated combination in terms of just being a handful for defenses, and it maybe doesn't get spoken about enough as it should, is that we were talking about Walker and how he's going to be active and busy trying to look after Werner and keep him down the flanks. But actually, Ben Chilwell's a real handful down that left. And there's been multiple times this season I've been watching us playing, and Chilwell has found genuinely 10 to 20 yards of space and he doesn't get the ball. And I'm hoping that pass to him gets there, and I think he's got a good cross. I trust the shooting as well. It's not been the best, but he is a left back at heart, not a wing back. He's learning. And if he can occupy Walker for a bit, and then Kai's sort of shadowing to take out Diaz or Stones, and then Werner's left, there's going to be a lot of interchanging space and personnel in those spaces, and that front three there would, to me, allow for the greatest defensive protection because Mount presses from high. Timo's got a lot of pace to recover the ball if needed. Chilwell can get down the left, Reece can get down the right. They can cross lines. They can kind of interlink and interchange, and that can cause some sort of blowing effect. And that's why when we've played at our best, if the midfield's pop in, the defence is solid, that a lot of teams have struggled to cope with it because actually tracking the man is quite difficult because they're so willing to interchange. Especially when Tuchel first joined, I think that was a real hassle for teams to get to grips with, was actually what you see in terms of the TV or how the formation looks. It's consistently changing. It's permanently fluid. It's in a state of flux. And those three, for me, would allow that. And then you can bring Ziyech on if you... Maybe I would understand if Giroud comes on later in the game, but I think you have to then bring Ziyech on or push James up a little higher to accommodate that and try something different. And Pulisic, obviously, if Werner's tired by 70, 80 minutes and we need a bit of dynamism, a bit of directness, a bit of pace, some decent finishing, some trickery to play on the tired legs of the Man City defenders, then we've got the substitutions to do that. But to me, that would be my starting 11, what we have there. And that front three, I believe, is the best front three we have currently going into this game.
I would agree. And it would have been interesting to have both of you with Con yesterday, who was on the channel yesterday. And he was literally at mine and Lewis's throat for not starting Christian Pulisic, because literally he probably has a shrine of Christian Pulisic at home. But, it's been quite funny. And, it's not a case of where he's made bad points, but I think he's almost disregarded positives that these three, and obviously he just wanted him instead of Havertz.
He's just blinded by the same thing. He's just blinded by his faith to Christian Pulisic. It's this football Twitter in a nutshell, and it's the same thing with the Callum Hudson-Odoi hype. There's people on Twitter that genuinely believe.
Come on,
there is literally people on Twitter that believe that Callum Hudson-Odoi should start this game. There are people that believe that. And you can't help football Twitter sometimes, Laurenz. You can't, man. That is true. Just because I saw the question here by Jester, of course, who is a member of the channel. What's your reaction to that statement, Dan? Or your response? Sorry. Oh, this one.
Kai and Mount are redundant. They will take up the same positions.
Redundant, so harsh.
Real Madrid. Did you watch the Real Madrid game? That would be my answer to that question.
Literally.
Nothing more, nothing less. That point is redundant.
Mate, I love Jester as well. I love Jester, but that's a mad point. That is a mad point.
He's
I'm sure
he's upset with us not using Pulisic.
Me and Sai on our joint account got a message from somebody about this, saying that we don't like Pulisic. Have they not been watching? Have they not been listening? Pulisic, we rate Pulisic. I think a lot of people do rate Pulisic, right? It's just we're very aware that Pulisic is very inconsistent. We're very aware that he is very good coming off the bench. He's a very much an impact player right now. No one hates him. No one doesn't rate him. It's just, certain players fit certain molds in certain moments, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer fitted a mold of a super sub at that moment. Christian Pulisic is similar in that vein right now. He had his moment right at the end of before lockdown where he was a certified starter. It's football; things happen,
And that's not just one player as well. It's not just Pulisic. Like Dan said with Solskjaer. You think about Jermaine Defoe, for example. He's got more goals than any other player as a substitute in the Premier League. I don't know about you, Laurenz, but myself, and I'm sure Dan as well. Jermaine Defoe is a serious player. Peter Crouch as well is a perfect example. When you need someone to come on to change up the game, to do what you got to do, it's really not a weakness. And I think Pulisic, understandably so, has maybe been caught up in, I deserve to start and it's what you want from your football players. But realistically, him coming off the bench and doing a job is just as important as the players that start. If you step on that pitch, your role is just as important as anyone else and you do your job. It's that simple to me. If you don't start, fine, you'll get your chance. If you don't get your chance, you didn't get your chance. It's what it is. He's playing at one of the biggest clubs in the world. This is the deal you make. You're not like a prime Eden Hazard. You're not Kante. You're not guaranteed to start in certain positions. If you're an attacker at Chelsea where we've got an overabundance of attackers and you don't start, fine, we'll make the most of the minutes you get when you come on. Because Pulisic, Dan may agree or disagree with, he's going to get minutes. He's definitely going to get on the pitch. So, he knows his chance there. He's probably been told he'll get on the pitch at some point. So, fans just be patient with him. He's a young guy. He's delicate. Sometimes he can get battered around in the first 30 minutes and then he's done. You're better off having him on the last 25 against some tired legs where you can accommodate his game a bit better. It's just smart management of a young player that's, I don't live in America. I know Dan does. I speak to Elizabeth a lot. Like, he's everywhere in America when they're talking about Chelsea, talking about football. He's a big star that needs to be managed and coached in an appropriate way. And if he's playing regularly all the time, and I said this on your channel, Laurenz, I said it on podcasts, he's going to be injured again. It's about utilizing his skill set at the right time, in the right way, and making sure he gets the minutes he needs that will benefit the team, benefit himself, but will not, jeopardize his development and his physical growth going into next season, because there's no doubt he's an extremely talented player. I mean, the first time I ever spoke to Alex Goldberg on his podcast, I came in with the hot take that Pulisic's a better player than Hudson-Odoi. And I still actually do think that he is. But, he needs to be managed carefully. He's a young guy, a lot on his shoulders.
Most people think that. How's that hot take?
But this is about a year ago, 16, maybe just over a year ago. Yeah, I bet you most people don't think that, honestly, bro. I honestly, on Twitter, you would think Hudson, I've been told by people that Hudson-Odoi is going to be better than Sterling, Sancho, Foden, all of this. And I like the guy. I really do like him. And this season, I like him more than I've ever liked Hudson-Odoi before. But nah, not there yet for me.
I would agree. Like I said already, I mean, we all agree on the front three, but I do think it's still, obviously, we already discussed Pulisic to some extent. I will just, to play a little bit of devil's advocate to make the conversation interesting, because otherwise, if we just all agree on the same three, we can just go home now. To make a few almost cases for Pulisic is, one, he is known to turn up on the big occasion. Like, that's kind of been his thing. In finals, he's usually the guy that turns up and does well. He's also, and that's the biggest point that Con made, and whether you agree with him or disagree with him, that's up to everybody individually. But he said he's the most individually decisive player, attacking player we have. And I don't think that's a statement that you can just brush off as completely wrong. I think the problem is just his lack of consistency. But when he's on it, I probably agree with that statement. He's probably the one that is most likely to decide a game by himself. But my counter argument to him there was yesterday, well, we know Pulisic probably isn't capable of playing 90, let alone 120 minutes at the intensity we need him to be. And when do I want that possibly most decisive player on the pitch? In the first 10 minutes or for the last half an hour? Well, there you go. Yeah. So that's why, in my opinion, that's one of the big reasons he has to be a super sub. Plus, he's the player that makes it the easiest for us to change it quite drastically in terms of shape, because you can't just take Kai off, put Werner up there all of a sudden, put Pulisic here on the right-hand side, and all of a sudden you were a very different attacking outlet, because we don't have that Kai-type player anymore. We're much more direct, although, I mean, personally, I believe it's going to be a bit more of this anyway, from the start, at least, because unless Havertz, Kyle Walker plays right centre-back, then maybe Werner will drift more here. But if they play in the back four, I think Werner will be rather central as almost the front two. But I think the other player we need to discuss, and you said that Daniel mentioned Hakim Ziyech to start. We touched on this already, but we've played Manchester City twice in the last 2 months. Hakim Ziyech scored in both games, and we won both games. Is it a bit harsh to not even consider him, Dan, or is he just not done enough?
No, he's definitely up for consideration. and he's the wild card, right? He's the joker in the deck. I think that Tuchel could pull. So yeah, he could definitely merit a start in the respect of he's done well against City, big game player, got an arrogance about him. Doesn't seem like to be the nervous type. I don't think the Champions League final will overwhelm him, maybe, which could be a risk with other players. So yeah, he's definitely worth a shout. I personally wouldn't start him, but I also, to play devil's advocate, I wouldn't bring him off the bench either unless we were desperate. I don't think he comes on as an impact player as much as others in the squad. So I think you either start him and give him the 60, 70, unless he's playing well, play him the whole time, right? Or you don't play him unless, we're 1-0 down, 2-0 down with limited time to go, then you bring him on, right, to produce a bit of magic. Hence why I think you don't start Pulisic, right, and you bring him on for that impact. So, yeah, no, but he's definitely the joker in the deck, and I would not argue against anyone wanting Ziyech in their squad or in their team, because of the reasons we've said. But I would also say, though, that people who want Ziyech to start, he is limited in a way. He is limited. And I don't think we need any limitations in a Champions League final. It's not going to be the most technical game of football in the world. It's not going to be a passing, exhibition. There'll be good moments. They're top quality players, right? But it's a final. It's a final. It's going to be cagey. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be rock and roll at times, So with that said, that's why I think you have that front three we've got on the screen right now. I think they're more suited to a game like that, personally.
I would agree. You said it's not going to be, the prettiest game and technically the most perfect game we'll have ever seen. Do you think it will be a tactically high-level game? Or do you think because of the occasion, it might get to a point where, because of the occasion, players just do what they do and it all goes a bit crazy? Or do you think both sets of teams will stick to the game plans 100%?
I think Chelsea will stick more to the game plan than Man City will. I think Man City will stick more to the game plan than Chelsea will. I think Man City will have a set structure, a set system because of Guardiola, because he's an absolute maniac in a good way. I think City will just beat the drum. Like, they will just try and manipulate, and they will try and dominate us by playing the same way over and over and over. And I think Chelsea will be more kind of... Well, you can argue both ways, actually, because now I think about it, right, Chelsea could kind of be more like that because they're going to play probably more defensively, right? So they might have to be more structured and rigid, which is Tuchel's system. So you can argue both ways, but I think City will play... I think I still agree with myself that I think they will just beat the drum. They're going to just try and break us down, wind us down, eventually. That's what I think. Jay's loving that.
I think I agree with myself.
I just love it. I back myself. What I said is right. Yeah.
No.
Wait, listen, I just want to add. Let me add something quickly. Let me add something quickly. I've just seen some reports on Twitter. CFC Daily, Man City report. Gundogan's left training limping.
I saw that as well.
So
I just got a text about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure whether. I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, whatever. If he doesn't play, then they've still got someone else that's immense that can go and play there. But he's definitely a threat and a wonderful football player as well. But yeah,
he really is. For me, Gundogan is a weird one because Gundogan is amazing when De Bruyne doesn't play, because that then allows Gundogan to be a bit more offensive, and that's when he's been, at his best this season. As soon as De Bruyne, especially if it's De Bruyne and Foden in front of Gundogan sits so deep. Sure, he does his lovely, playing the ball around, being silky as he is, Silky Ilky, and that, as his nickname goes.
Hey,
there you go.
Silky Ilky.
But in terms of goal scoring threat, is not as much if De Bruyne is there, because it doesn't really allow him to take up those positions. But what was the point I was going to go to? Because obviously, what you just said, Dan, and you as you agreed with yourself, I think most of that will change.
I didn't mean that. What I meant was I'm going to
stick. I
read
that.
No.
I do the same thing.
No, you've got it wrong.
Someone clip that,
I do
please.
back myself, obviously, but what I meant was
I agree with what I said earlier.
I was going to change my Oh my god, it's way too early for this.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I would love that as just a clip that I can send on WhatsApp when people say something. I'm like, yeah, back myself. I agree with myself. What I was trying to say is, obviously things change when either team takes the lead. And I actually think if we take the lead, City will lose it the plot a little bit more than we will if they take the lead.
Agreed.
I mean, except against City when we literally won from 1-0 down, that's really not been our strength under Tuchel to turn a game around once we're losing. Mostly down to lack of finishing, but still, I still think City will, I don't know, go a bit crazy if we do take the lead. So I think if that's why, and I'm not going to even make you make score predictions today because, let's not be crazy. But if we do take the lead, I am pretty confident we win it. Just because I think they'll lose it so much, we'll get a goal. We'll get another one. And then once we've got 2, we don't lose. That's just hey, I agree with myself in that.
yeah, come on.
There you go. I think you can say that for 99% of football teams and football situations because Chelsea are good defensively. Figures with Man City, man, if they get one, they're just an absolute machine.
I know. I really don't want to be that guy, but I can't not see City winning. I'm really
Hey, dump him. Who's your boy?
No, but think about it like that's my concern. If City get that early goal, like Dan says, absolute curtains. It's curtains. Like they'll score 4. And I just really don't want anything to do it. If we can be resolute and if we can, like you say, Laurenz, get the early goal, then the game changes. But Chelsea have to score first. Because City have no problem scoring 3-4 goals against good teams, whereas we have a problem scoring 1 goal against mediocre teams. So it's vital Chelsea score first and manage the game carefully, really carefully. Really, you can allow City to play sometimes. That's fine because they're going to anyway. So if you allow it and then you can sort of set up differently, like Dan says about Jorginho. He can organise the people around him well and he can conduct things in that way. And I'm sure that those conversations will be going on. But Chelsea have to score first. And, if we had someone like Lukaku, I reckon we'd win the game. But I think I like the guy too much.
We're not doing that on this stream. Laurenz, don't talk about it. Move on swiftly, please.
All right.
Wait, why can't we talk about him?
Because we've got a Champions League final tomorrow. There's no need to talk about someone that doesn't play on our team or what we do. Hypotheticals.
You're one of them.
Nonsense.
You're one of them. He's one of them.
I thought he said he's not superstitious and nervous in that. I
know. I can't talk. I can't have fun and chat about players I like because I get told off by Dan.
Shut up, man. What is Coach doing a press conference? That there is no correlation to that at all. No, if he's doing media before the game, then that's different. But press conference.
No, I hear it. I think as well, like it's more just me because if we had a recognised finisher, I would feel more comfortable. But I think that's not exactly a particularly useful point because I think almost everyone would feel more comfortable with that. It was just sort of to get a smile out of Dan because I like seeing a smile.
There you go. There you go. But the Kovacic thing. I mean, the bloody press conference was last Monday. I think Tuchel hasn't decided on his team last Monday. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he knew it would be Kante and Jorginho, but maybe he didn't even know Kante would be fit.
He said Christian Pulisic's gone 2 weeks ago. Oh, here we go. Let's get a few people angry, shall we?
There you go. I have I saw this question on Twitter and I've actually discussed it with somebody on here before as well because I thought it was quite fun to talk about. In the end, it got me suspended. Don't know why to this day, but anyway, only for 12 hours. I'm back. Don't worry, guys. But
Wow.
Exactly. I just said I would not include Timo Werner as one of our 5 penalty takers. Hence why my question to you, Dan. Who are your 5 penalty takers? And try to ignore the fact who you want to start. Just who are your 5 penalty takers?
I actually tweeted this. I don't know if you saw it. I tweeted it last night. I was going to bed and I hadn't tweeted the whole day and I felt like I let the people down. So I thought, I'll just chuck in a quick little bedtime tweet. And I tweeted, the exact message was, who are your 5 penalty takers if we go to the final? Mine are, in no order, of course, Mount, Kai Havertz, Jorginho, a little bit of a rogue one, Reece James. He will absolutely batter that ball in the back of the net, that boy. And Timo Werner.
Dan, I actually love you so much. I think you're my favourite person in the whole community. You know, just letting the timeline down. So I had to come out here and tweet before bed. Now I agree with everyone he said. I would have Aspi over Reece, and then I'd have Reece sixth.
Good shout. No, someone actually reminded me how good Aspi is at penalties. So yeah, fair point.
Yeah. But Reece is the type of guy, and I rate any player that smashed it down the middle. And I think Reece is a smash it down the middle type of guy, and that's a big tick in my book, to be honest. So yeah.
No. Controversially, Timo Werner is in there. Laurenz, you fucking arsehole.
Has to be in there. Laurenz such a hater, man.
I think you should do that now. Tonight before bed, you should now just quote tweet that very tweet and say, "Yeah, I agree with myself."
Someone will clip it.
I'm going to get battered so hard for this, I can tell. Oh, I'm going to be hiding at the timeline for a couple of days.
I'm getting text messages now from people watching the stream saying no Thiago Silva for pens. I'm not a qualified voice on that one. Is anyone?
I'm getting this. I've got the same text from the same person.
Is it okay? All right.
Yeah.
My statement to that would be that reminds me too much of John Terry in 2008. So no. That's
a good shout, actually. I rate that shout.
Especially if it rains. I mean, it's Portugal, so probably not. But, I like, no. I mean, before we get to Jay's 5, let me give you my 5. And I'm kind of cheating because I'm can't decide between 2, so I'm giving you 6. But anyway, Jorginho, Mount, Aspi, because I feel like in every penalty shootout we've been in that he's played in, he's always taken one and scored every time.
Who's that?
And I don't... Aspilicueta.
He missed against Frankfurt, apparently, but apart from that, yeah, he has.
Did he miss against Frankfurt? Well, Kepa bailed him out, so no one remembers. Reece James, I back that as well, actually. And then I'm between Havertz and this good old German friend that's not Timo Werner, but Rudiger.
I knew it.
Because I'm just picking players who I think won't bottle it.
I reckon Rudiger runs up from outside the box.
Yeah,
I reckon Rudiger doubles or triples Luiz's run up 100% and punches the goalkeeper after he scored.
Yeah, fully. He scores and slide tackles the keeper.
100%.
Rudiger shouts to Mendy to put the ball down so Rudiger can take the run up straight from the halfway line.
Yeah, fully.
I rate Rudiger, actually. I wouldn't mind. That's a good shout as well. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't be overly against that.
But this whole conversation is good in the sense that there seems to be a unanimous trust in at least 7 to 8 players that can take penalties, which is quite nice. It's probably not going to go the distance of the Villarreal United game, but I would like to add as well, small, it's like kryptonite almost for City is penalties. I really don't think their mentality is there for pens because they've really struggled to find a set penalty taker for the last 18 months. And obviously they've scored some, but they've missed more than they should have with the players at their disposal. And whilst all of us sit here, and again, it's something I mentioned on the podcast today, that from a dead ball, like imagine De Bruyne taking that, or Foden, Gundogan, any of these, but Mahrez as well. We've not even talked about Mahrez, who in my opinion is a world-class footballer and is, Chilwell's going to have a busy night. So is Rudiger actually, but these guys are all amazing from dead ball situations. I mean, you saw Mahrez score the winner for is Algeria, right? He's Algerian in the African Cup of Nations from a dead ball. I mean, he's outstanding, and City have all this talent, but actually mentally they don't seem to be robust enough to deal with penalties consistently. Now, I bet we lose on penalties and I get clipped for that, but it is what it is. I agree with myself. I
will say this: last time Chelsea played City on penalties, we lost. When Sarri tried to take Kepa off and that, so that's a problem. But who are your 5, Jay? Who are your 5?
Jorginho, Timo, Kai, Aspi, and Mount.
Fair enough. My Timo. Who's Timo instead of me? James. My reason for not picking Timo is, I mean, the guy's literally...
You hate him, lad. That's what it is.
No.
You're a Timo fan. That's what I think about him. That's what I think about you every time he scores or assists.
David De Gea fax machine right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, hold on. The reason why I'm saying I wouldn't let Timo take one is he literally 2 months ago said in a TV interview, maybe I shouldn't be taking penalties at the moment. If you say that, even if it's 2 or 3 months ago, you should not be taking a penalty in a Champions League final, in my opinion.
But did he say that due to lack of confidence, or because
yeah,
there was
does he have confidence
between
now when
him
he's scored
taking it
3
or
goals in the
Jorginho?
last 3 months?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I don't disagree with what you said, but did he say that because he doesn't have the confidence to take the penalties, or did he say that because actually 2 or 3 months ago there was a lot of discourse amongst fans, pundits, and everyone else that who should be taking pens for Chelsea? Should it be Jorginho? Should it be Timo? Should it be, I know Tammy had one. Should it be Kai? Because we all want to see the young players getting involved, and obviously as well there is a large section of fans that aren't too hot on Jorginho, so maybe don't want him taking penalties. And that's not a particularly fair way to look at it, but that exists. So there was discourse about who should take pens. And Timo was a player that we thought, well, I say we, actually, that's not fair. I thought he should be taking pens because it'd be good for his confidence. And so maybe he was saying that to respect Jorginho's position as the penalty taker and ingratiate himself further within the team.
The way he said it, and just to give context, he took 3. First one was great. Second one, keeper almost had. Third one, he missed against Morecambe. And then the next penalty we got after that, it was him and Jorginho on the pitch, and Jorginho took it again. And after that game, he was then in the TV interview asked, why, or are you okay with not taking a pen? And he's like, yeah, maybe I need to score normal goals before I start taking penalties again. That type of thing. So it sounded like a confidence thing rather than,
I
love Jorginho. And if a player says that, I'm like, also, and this is almost protecting him, and I don't want to jinx things, but if he takes one, misses, and we lose, I'm not sure he will ever live that down.
It's curtains, it's curtains for him, I think.
So,
there's a lot riding on this for a lot of players, actually, because if Jorginho messes up, he's going to have a lot of fans on him. If Cover's playing and the same thing goes, it's tough. Because
it's going to be death threats. It's going to be discrimination. It's going to be racism. Whatever happens, because this place and this world is disgusting. So it's going to be, people just can't help themselves on social media. And that's why a lot of people should probably, I'm going to recommend a lot of people just ban yourself from social media for the next 24 to 48 hours. Seriously.
Yeah. I've removed it from my home screen on my phone, and it locks after 6:30. So anything that comes outside of a scheduled tweet, like I don't have it on, I don't see the app. I can only see it if I search for it in my phone. Like, I'd recommend people doing that if we lose, and if we win as well, like, go and enjoy it with people. Phone someone, do you know what I mean? Like, don't need to be tweeting. Like,
he's right. He's going to be phoning me.
Facts. Go and FaceTime someone. Do you know what I mean? I'll FaceTime Dan. I know he's coaching. I'll be like, get me on. Get me on.
Straight through on the iPad. Show me the pitch and you'll help him out coaching. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He'll just show me the Premier League trophy that Man City have bought, and I'll just be shouting at him. Shouting encouragement to one of his teams as well.
There you go. One question I have for you, actually, Dan. What age group do you coach?
So this time round, I'm coaching. I coach different levels. So I've coached college over here before. I coach at a private all boys. Secondary school, high school over here. We're actually so the varsity team, the top team was number 1 in the nation, the whole of America last year, and they're in the final tonight. Yeah.
Just to throw in to support what you're saying. I mean, I know Laurenz will be aware, but some people in the comments might not be. Like, college and school sport in America is totally different to how it is in Europe, right?
Oh yeah, it's mega out here.
It's like ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like college football is arguably as big or bigger than NFL over here. And, college basketball, March Madness, yeah, it's mental. It's mental. So, yeah, I coach college over here.
Soccer is the same in that aspect, yeah?
Correct, yeah. It's just huge. Sports over here is just huge. And, so we're actually, my high school's in the final tonight of the whole thing, not the whole thing. They're in the final tonight, so hopefully we'll win, playing tonight. I'm the assistant coach for that team, but anyway. And then I actually coach. I'm head coach of my boys. I have 15-year-old boys, 14-year-old girls, and 14-year-old boys, and we're playing in that tournament this weekend, sponsored by Man City. And I'm not sure this year because of COVID, but typically all the academy teams came over. So 2 years ago, Man City's academy was here, Chelsea's academy was there, and I actually went and watched them play. And my God, incredible.
Yeah, there you go. Just a last question on your coaching thing.
Yeah.
Football club academies, is that a big thing in the US? Do you know what I mean? Or is that, do you instead have the college soccer, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so no, academies are massive over here. Yeah, so obviously we have local to me is LA Galaxy Academy, LAFC Academy, which are top academies in here. A very, very, very good academy in the US is FC Dallas in Texas. Their academy is ridiculous. And they'll play against the Man Cities, the Chelsea, and they'll beat them. Like the American academies have often beaten the Premier League academies because of more athleticism than anything. Obviously, the American kids are just ridiculous athletes. Like you should see the kids over here. I don't know what they eat or what they do, but you know the athleticism over here is ridiculous.
Mutants, mate. Young American athletes are mutants.
They're crazy. They are. It's like you remember that picture of Lukaku when he was like 15 over everybody else. They're all like that. So yeah, there is academy over here. Yeah, the academy is very big over here, and the game's just getting bigger. There's more leagues being created, and they're getting more and more competitive. Obviously, the national team's getting better on the men's side, and women's is obviously the best in the world. So yeah, it's good, man. It's up and coming. So yeah, it's good level for sure. Coaching full time is obviously the dream, right? Love it. So.
100%. I mean, hey, the Americans might be fuming about no Super League because they never called it European Super League. They might have included American teams in it.
Get Galaxy in there eventually. But yeah, man, it's definitely good. And the thing about America is compared to back home is the money. The money over here is ridiculous. Like, I'll just say it on the stream right now, I probably get paid way too much for what I do, to be honest. So yeah. Whereas I've got friends back home who coach in the Premier League academies, third.
I can't lie. If you're a coach, and you don't live in America, go and live in America.
Yeah,
that's just obvious. Yeah. That's just standard. If you want to do sports and you speak English predominantly, go America.
If you want to live in the sun, just go to LA, innit?
Yeah, it's nice and sunny at 8 o'clock in the morning over here. Yes, that helps.
Liverpool's looking a little bit 50-50, so
I've got a lot of Liverpool. What a city that is! That's still one of my best nights out in the UK ever.
Yeah, banks. It does bang.
But I got a lot of hate for my Declan Rice video, right? Because it was like blue sky, it was outside, and everyone was like, "Fuck you, Dan."
Yeah, there you go. Honestly, I'm like, what are you doing here? The sun behind you is so bright that it looked just white.
I remember getting a text from Dan once, and it was like, I'm just chilling. He's at a pool, the sun's out, he's got a nice drink. And I literally looked at it, walking back through Liverpool in the rain. And I was like, this guy's so shameless, so shameless.
Living a dream.
Just to, make Jester happy and, get you on positive again after your thoughts on Pulisic. Do you rate Daryl Dike?
I've got to be careful here.
Yeah.
Can I just say potential? Yeah. Maybe.
Sounds like all that Callum Hudson-Odoi then.
Oh, don't get me started. Honestly, I've do you know how many tweets I've deleted about that person? And the thing is, people think I hate him. I don't hate him. I think he's talented. I think there's potential there. But my point always is, right, is potential is potential. Execution is execution. So yeah, I mean, So yeah, no. In answer to the question, I rate Daryl Kante potential for sure. There's a lot of potential in the US. There's a lot of potential up and coming. Hopefully, we see a few more American players coming up. Absolutely, but I'm obviously English, and obviously England's always number one for me. I'll be backing if England play the USA. I'll be making American jokes for sure.
There you go. But DK as well. Well, how can I know? Any which way. One of the last questions that I get for both of you guys, because not that I agree with it, but it's just a question, and people will talk about it. Should we bring Caballero on for a penalty shootout, Jay?
No. Yeah, I can't. I agree with Dan.
Should we bring Tepper on for a penalty shootout then?
No. I just play Mendy. I trust Mendy. Okay. He's done enough to be trusted more than any player on the pitch besides Kante and Mason, maybe. So, yeah, I'd give him the chance. And do you know what? Even if we lose on a penalty shootout, Mendy's done more than almost any other player in this tournament to deserve plaudits, in my opinion. Highest save percentage. I think he's got the most clean sheets still. So he's been a real factor in our success in this tournament. So he really won't be responsible if we lose penalties, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, he will have responsibility on him, but he's done enough to really avoid any damaging career, reputation in that sense for perhaps not saving penalties. But I think people generally are quite forgiving in penalty shootouts, especially in big finals, in the sense that there's empathy towards a keeper and it's not too easy. But there is also with that an expectation that, if you get your hand to it, you have to save it, kind of thing. But it is what it is. Really, I've always had the mentality that if you're a player and you step up for the pen, you have to score your pen. And the advantage is always with the player, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I see it. So I wouldn't be subbing keepers on. It's about the player's mentality and making sure they do it, and the keeper just gets it the right way. Obviously, there's a bit more technique than that. I'm not trying to downplay it in any way, shape, or form, but I wouldn't be subbing keepers in and out. I don't think it's not. I think that's quite a rare thing to do. I just think it's conversation that's popular at the moment because obviously people wanted Henderson on for De Gea in the Europa League, but
Would be funny though, right? To see, I reckon City would be rattled to their core if we did do it. If we did bring,
yeah, 100%. I agree. Yeah,
but then again, if hasn't played a minute of football in like 10 months.
If Kepa makes a mistake, bro, in the pens,
honestly,
Kepa.
Kepa's good at penalties as well, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing though. But the thing is, Kepa, Jorginho, Werner, these are players that can build up credit fast, but can lose it faster. And I don't want any of them making mistakes. And Kepa penalties, Champions League final, he's either going to be sensational or shocking. And I don't want to roll that dice. I'd rather consistent performance that we've seen from Mendy. And I've been banging the drum for signing Donnarumma for a long time, but Mendy's won me over.
Well done. He's won you over.
Yeah. Like it makes sense. It makes sense long term, and he's on a free, but he's expensive and whatever. But yeah, Mendy. There's no way Mendy's displaced this summer, and he fully doesn't deserve it. I think he's been outstanding. So, he should be playing in the pens regardless, as long as he's fit, healthy, and doesn't mind doing it. Then yeah.
100%. The only thing I will say on goalkeepers, and Dan, if from coaching you have anything to add to that, is after the United penalty shootout, it came out that De Gea had his notes and was basically told stay in the middle for Gomez's penalty. Gomez put it in the middle. De Gea didn't stay in the middle.
So I didn't see that. Wow.
Stick to your research. That's the one thing I will say to goalies. If he doesn't put it where the research has told you he will put it, fine. But if your research has told you there is good evidence that he is more likely to go a certain way than another way, go there. Unless obviously he does a super bait run up, right? Maybe. But in general, if they say middle, just stay. You can't look like more of a mug if you stay in the middle and he puts it in a corner than the other way around. Do you know what I mean? And I do still think, like what Jay said, if you get a strong hand on it, especially if you're as tall as Mendy is, I expect you to keep that out. But Dan, anything to add to that on goalkeepers and penalties?
I would say, research is extremely important, right? But the players are also very aware that the goalkeepers have research. So you have to take that into account too. There's no magic formula, right? Otherwise, every penalty will be saved. What I would say is pick a side and commit to it. It does annoy me, right, when keepers kind of like that like that little when they go down on one knee in the middle of the goal and they barely move. That does annoy me. Like, just pick a side and commit to it.
Exactly, that is what saved Mendy the penalty against Aguero.
True. But I think he deliberately. I think he read the run up there. I think if you watch it back, it's pretty obvious that Aguero's going down the middle. I don't know, because we've all seen so many Aguero penalties, right? And typically he runs up very sharply and then opens up his body and puts it bottom right 9 times out of 10. And in that run up, if you watch that back, he doesn't do that. It's definitely a slower run up. So I think Mendy kind of read that one. If you watch Mendy's, what was the last penalty shootout Mendy was in? I don't remember. But Mendy. But yeah, that one. If you watch that, Mendy does that a lot, and it drove me insane. Mendy kind of gave up in the middle a lot, which was annoying. I'm hoping he's changed that because Man City are not going down the middle every time. Not even they won't. So yeah, I would just say that I'm a big believer of pick a side, commit to it, and if they go down the middle, then fair play to them because that's brave.
Yeah, going down the middle is like betting on 0 on roulette. It's just ballsy. If it comes off, it comes off.
Good analogy. Yeah.
But even if the research tells you stay in the middle.
But what penalty taker for Man City goes down the middle every time?
No, I don't know. But Man United's research showed that he should stay in the middle for 2. And one of them took the pen.
Absolutely. For a specific player, then perhaps, right? But I don't know. I can't think, right, of Raheem Sterling. Maybe he's come down the middle a couple of times. But Aside from that, I think goalkeepers have trained enough, and they do work on this, right? In clubs, they work on reading run-ups and reading body language. Goalkeepers, I know that for a fact they do that. So if they do, and if and when they do that, then I will just rely on that more, Laurenz, than anything. More, I'd rely on reading the body language, because I don't know about you guys, but there's often times you watch your TV, you can tell where people are going in penalties. I mean, not every time.
100%. Or you just look at it and you'd be like, this guy is definitely going to miss, and then they miss. It's quite simple.
I've thought that so many times. He's going to miss now, and then he didn't. So, yeah.
Well, again, the technical execution comes into play, right? They are obviously a lot better than they are professional footballers. They should be scoring from 12 yards out. Let's not deny it. But just like example was the David De Gea one, right? I was watching it with a United friend, a coach, and he's a United fan, and he said, "Oh, he's just going to laser this as hard as he can, like the other goalkeeper did." I was like, "No, he's not. David De Gea is not that kind of guy. He's going to try and pass this in the corner," and I did call it the bottom right. It was so obvious.
Bro, honestly, I was watching it with my girlfriend, and I said, "That's going our right, keeper's left."
Yeah,
easy,
so
straight
obvious.
there. Yeah, 100%.
So I will ask you a question, Laurenz, in a long-winded way. I'd rely more on body language than any other concept, or hard evidence, right? Hard evidence, like you say, of research. If the guy goes this way every single time, then rely on that, of course.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Petr Cech has many times discussed of how much research they did ahead of 2012, and that he went that way every time that their research showed go that way, and he had the right way, like the right corner every time. So I don't know if their body language was always said that, or if he always just went with the research. That I don't know. But we have a guy that could certainly help Mendy prepare, I suppose. So hopefully,
I was just about to say, trust me, Petr Cech is talking to Mendy about this. Maybe as we speak, but he's going to be talking to him about it. Absolutely.
No, 100%. And the last question I will put to you guys before we round it out here. And again, like I said, we're not going to do score predictions, but I'm not even going to ask you who's going to win, but I'm going to ask you, when is it decided? 90, 120, or pens? Let me go with you first, Jay.
I think it's decided first goal. So I know it's not particularly useful time. Whenever whoever scores the first goal, I think that sets precedent. If Chelsea do it, I reckon they're going to lock in tight and really be resolute. If City score the first one, I don't even want to think about City scoring the first one, to be honest with you. So yeah, that for me, I don't think there's a specific, 90th minute, 120th minute, 110th, 115th, whatever. But I think it's going to be the first goal is going to set precedent, and then if you can weather the storm for 10 to 15 minutes after that, it'll put you in a good position. And just, I think it's going to go that way, to be honest, mate. I don't know if it's going to come down to a specific time or anything like that.
I don't even mean in a specific time, but do you think it's decided in the 90, or do we need extra time?
Yeah, I think it'll be in the 90, yeah.
Fair play.
I hope so.
You as well? Because, I mean, mind you, we've played 2 Champions League finals so far. They've both gone to pens.
I said on a previous stream, and the United final might have taken my luck away, my prediction away. I did say extra time. Obviously, Europa League went all the way, so it might have taken my luck. I said extra time. I said it would be decided in extra time, 2-1 or 1-0 to Chelsea.
Hey, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Obviously, there's an easy way of saying, like, Jay, whoever scores first, and if someone scores first in the 90, sure, but I could very much see it being 0-0 after 90 and we go into extra time.
I can see that, absolutely. And what he's done there, Jay, by the way, he's just basically said you took the easy way out. Just a little dig in there.
Yeah, no, I heard it. Don't worry, I heard it. I was not going to act on it. I'm being polite. I heard it. Don't worry, I clocked it.
But yeah, I mean, I was going to say extra time, but now it seems like I'm copying you. So I'm going to say 90 then. And hopefully that's
the easy way out, that one is.
But I'm going to say pens just because you picked the other 2 options already. All right, pens then.
I mean, you did say 0-0 after 90 minutes. So typically, if it's 0-0 after 90 minutes, I think you have to do extra time and penalties, right? So.
Yeah.
All right, penalties then. Go on then. But I do actually want to survive the game as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be dead in my living room just from a heart attack. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was already it's like tense for this Man United penalty shootout, and I didn't even care really.
Me too. And there's definitely a very, very small part of me, 1%, that's kind of glad that I'm coaching during the game because I just don't know how I'd handle.
100%, bro. 100%. I'm driving 4.5 hours home to watch it with my family. Like, I'm genuinely I'm like not nervous, but I want it to go well for the occasion. But then, like, obviously we're wrapping up now. I do think that just looking at team mentality, I think there is more pressure on Man City for this game, and it'll be very interesting to see how they cope with it, because they've not been here before, and to my knowledge, it's only Gundogan that's played in a Champions League final at City before. So I could be wrong. Someone could throw another name in.
I mean, we have also one player that's actually played, because Kovacic never even came on in any. So,
but City are expected to have won this trophy by now. 5 years of Guardiola, over $1 billion investment. It's been an expectation to have won this, and they haven't got there. Now they're here, and they are favourites. Let's not have it. They are heavy favourites for this game.
Let's not have it any other way. Let's not get it twisted here, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's not get it twisted.
And this is what's happening.
I do think in the final.
That's as bad as me saying.
No, it's not. It's not. I'm telling you. Let's just do a stream, the three of us, when there's no football on, and we'll chat about something else.
You did say you're a Yadar, and that was very Yadar right there. Right, this is how it's going. This is what I'm saying.
This is what it is. Honestly, that's how my dad speaks. That's actually how my dad speaks. So. How can you have a go at me for chatting? You sound like Sean Dyche.
True.
You should just, Dan, I know you have a podcast already. You should make your solo podcast and just call it like something Sean Dyche beat bad.
Dychecast.
Dan Dyche.
Yeah. I love it. See, Laurenz, this is the issue. I didn't know Dan was coming on before, but every time Dan and I chat on stream, it just ends up being a little bit, it's lighthearted in it. It's probably, hopefully it's good viewing. I'm having fun.
I'm having a great time.
Other people are having fun.
Exactly, I'm having a great time. Just to pick up on that point quickly, because I do really want to wrap it up, mostly for you boys, because I know you both actually need to head off. Don't you think in a final, I'll put this to you as the last thing, Dan, after what Jay said, don't you think in a final, both, like, I expect our players to go into it expecting themselves to win? Do you know what I mean? So I don't think on the pitch it will be different for us or them.
No, there can't be any doubt. It's definitely a lot easier for Man City to be confident, a lot easier, mainly because of experience. Obviously, their results and their accolades this year, but mainly because of their experience. It's a lot easier for them to be confident. That the youngsters might second guess themselves, but our youngsters have extreme mentalities, right? Look at Reece James's mentality. Look at Mason Mount's mentality. Look at Kai Havertz's mentality. Kai Havertz would kill your family in their sleep, no problem. So the guy is cold. He is cold. So with that said,
maybe that's why fans don't hate on him, but only on Werner, because
honestly, I think that's part of it. I definitely think that's part of it. But what I will say is mentality is bigger than technical ability in this game. The only technical ability you're going to need in this game, right, is two things. One, a moment of magic from someone. Like it's just like a Mahrez, like Jay would say, right? A moment of magic from someone like him, or Ziyech, like a moment of magic would be technical. Importantly, Ben Chilwell, or a mistake, technically a technical mistake, right? A short back pass, something like that. But you could even argue that's mentality, right? Lack of concentration. So mentality is going to be the predominant in this game, and it's going to be very important for both teams to go in confident. And I think Chelsea will be. I think Thomas Tuchel's got an aura about him. He's got a swag about him that will exude onto his players for sure.
I agree. At the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen. At the end of the day, we're all hoping that we're going to, be victorious, shall we say? Because like I put on the thumbnail.
Did you look at WhatsApp, Dan?
I did.
Sorry,
I didn't want to sit on stream. No, Laurenz, I said. I'll text you, Laurenz. I'll text you.
All right, brilliant. Like I said, tomorrow could change the lives of these players. So I hope they turn up. I hope it's not like an FA Cup final where we feel after could have done more here. I really hope it's just not that, right? So let's go into that. If any of these players happen to see this, you got this. Come on, don't bottle it. You got this. Let's win this game. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been watching up until this point, especially, I appreciate you a lot. Thank you guys for watching.
My apologies.
Honestly, if you've been doing that, you're an absolute saint. Honestly,
yeah.
I love it. I love it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Smash the like button. Download the OneFootball app with the link down below. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chels. Let's do this.
Yes. Come on. Let's have it. That's it.
Oh my God.